Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We did remember Veterans Day yesterday, and we talked about it yesterday for sure. I am feeling a little under the weather today. I traded in a headache I had the other night for sort of an upper respiratory infection, I think. So I'm feeling a little crappy, so bear with me today. Just bear with me, because I am not feeling hot. Nonetheless, there's two cases that have some stuff going on in them right now. There's the Corey Richins case. Thank you, Lieutenant Diane's legs. Lieutenant Diane. Actually, I'm no makeup today. I'm no nothing today. I'm just blank canvas. My eyes are itchy and watery from allergies. I'm tired. I feel like crapola. So I said, you know what? It's a bun day. It's just throw your hair in a bun. You're already dressed anyway. I'm not doing my makeup. I'm not. Sounds like I'm far away. Oh, thank you. Might want to move my microphone back over. That might be why. Is that better? See, this is what I mean. Usually I move my microphone back closer to me. I kind of push it away from the desk when I get up from the desk, which I did. I was doing some work this morning. And so I forgot to move the microphone back towards me. So that's my bad. See what I mean? This is what happens. Thank you, my friend. It's because it was way over there. It swung on the other side of the desk for sure. Appreciate you. Just gonna fix it. But yeah, bear with me today. I don't feel hot, so I can feel like the whole pressure in my upper respiratory system just coming down into my face right now. I wish I could. I honestly wish I could. I might have to double stream it this week, unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? I have you guys know, my little's birthday is days away at this point, right? About 10 until the party. And so a lot has to be done before then. I have all the party supplies I still have to get, which are, I put them on my Amazon wish list just because that way I don't forget what I need. You know what I mean? So I have all that stuff I still need to get, which is making my head want to explode. And then Thanksgiving's coming and the holidays and I got a lot going on, Usually I skip my birthday. It looks like I might have to do that again this year. It is what it is. The kids' birthdays all come at the same time, unfortunately. My middle is a teen, so it's not like you have a party, but you still have sleepovers or a night out with friends. It's like a party, except she's older, so she doesn't need a party, And then my oldest doesn't necessarily need a party, but you still will celebrate your child's birthday, And both of their birthdays are right after my little's, right after mine, days after mine. And mine's on Black Friday. And my little's is on the 21st. So it goes hers. Then a week later is mine. Then 3 days later is my oldest. And then 9 days later, it's my middle. And then just 15 days after that is Christmas. So I hate this season with a deep-rooted passion. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? It is what it is. That's how this shit works. It's life, but it's stressful. I would be lying if I didn't say it stresses me out. The holiday season in general stresses me out. I don't have a ton of family to be like, okay, this family member is going to get this gift and this family member is going to get this gift. All the pressure's here. And so I do my best. I do what I can do. And that's that. Nonetheless, so there was some movement on the Richins case. And, I was going to do most of the stream on the Walshe case, along with some other things I need to say. But there is some movement with the Richins case and some interesting stuff going on sort of in it. We have one of the, key sort of players of the drug deal theory recanting some sort of stuff. And it's interesting, right? It's interesting. And if you don't know who Corey Richins is, she wrote a children's book about grief, about the loss of her husband. like, for her kids or whatever. And unfortunately, they say she allegedly say she poisoned him with fentanyl in a drink that she made him, and that's how he died. So it's an interesting case. It's one that's, should be done in early 2026 for the trial, but the Walshe case should have already been started by now, right? It's one in the area in Massachusetts. And as a matter of fact, there's a current manhunt right now in Massachusetts from Rockland to Hingham, looking for a shooter dressed in black that shot someone last night. So there's that happening right now. They're telling people to remain vigilant in the area. So if you live in that area, keep your eyes peeled, check the news, look at the, photo. You can't really see much. The guy's dressed in black, but you can look at the photos and see, if there's something that looks familiar to you in that area. It is what it is. All right. So the other thing, I got a couple other things we got to talk about right before I delve into these cases. The other thing is that the sewer turtle had a hearing this morning. Well, today it was postponed due to the court schedule being full. That was a New Jersey hearing, and so that's postponed at the moment. I don't have another date on that yet. He claims it's a conflict. I don't think there's a conflict. He wants there to be a conflict everywhere. What? No, I didn't hear about that. A guy who died in a fire in Methuen with 60 boa constrictors and pythons. Why would you want that many? That's cray-cray. And listen, I've had a fire, so I know what that's like. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Yeah, I wonder why. Was he like a scientist? Was he like studying these snakes? Like, or would he just like an enthusiast of wanting to collect snakes, I wonder? We did start off the show, thankfully, with a donation that came in. It was a $10 donation. I'm not going to say the person's real name, obviously, but it says, for keep putting out great content. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a rough week, almost 2 weeks for the show, so we appreciate it very, very much. He was a snake hoarder. It does sound like a nightmare. But if you would like to, help out, we appreciate any and all donations. We rely on all of you. We don't have sponsors. There's no, people telling us what we can and can't put out. It's just us, right? And those truth bombs come from all of you. So without all of you, where would we be, right? So we appreciate any and all donations that come into the channel, and there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, Revolut. We have a link that you can use for debit or credit. It's in the description of the video. It's in the chats, pinned to the top. We have all that stuff. So there's a couple other things. So it said that they said the court schedule was full. That's what they said. The court's schedule was full, so it needed to be postponed because the judge's schedule is full. That donation there. We dropped that truth bomb. Appreciate you. But that's what they said, right? Yeah, Atlantic City, correct. So I don't know. I don't know what could possibly. I don't know. I have no freaking idea. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to get up for a second and get something. I have any of my chargers over here because I did not charge stuff last night, and that's my bad. Yeah, and the fuckery begins, exactly. And the fuckery begins. I mean, It's normal for the steward to try to wriggle out of shit at the last minute. It happens all the time, claiming conflicts that don't exist, saying he can't be there, whatever. As far as I understand, the court is saying that it's a scheduling issue, which is like, okay, then why schedule it for this day, right? It just and if I was the attorneys, I'd be demanding a date this week. Like we're not waiting 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks. Like we want it now. You know, he's continued to break the order. He's said that and I can't make this up. He has actually said that a New Jersey judge cannot tell him what to do because he's in Massachusetts and has no jurisdiction. If his idiot lawyers told him that, I feel really disgusted because no decent lawyer is going to tell you that. Of course, they have jurisdiction over you. You know, interstate orders. Yeah, to me, the fact that anybody would say that just blows my ever-loving mind. Interstate orders are recognized in another state. Massachusetts has to abide by the interstate order of New Jersey. So if New Jersey says, hey, he violates this order, we've put a warrant out, or, you know, he needs to come into court on this date, or he needs to, then that's what it is. If the judge says you have to do this, this, and this, and you can't do this, this, and this, you have to abide by that, or they can violate you. And Massachusetts would have to abide by whatever New Jersey chooses to do in an interstate order. Interstate orders are recognized. So I don't know who gave him the idiotic advice that, oh, a New Jersey judge just can't tell me what to do because I'm in Mass and they're in New Jersey. That's not true. That's completely and utterly false. And I don't know why someone would say that out loud thinking it was a thing. Blows my mind, but okay, cool. Let him think whatever it is that he thinks that he doesn't have to abide by. You can explain to the judge why you think that you don't have to abide by the judge's legal, lawful order. It doesn't matter if the judge is in another state. That's like saying that you committed a crime on the internet and they decided to bring federal charges on you. And well, the feds have no jurisdiction, right? Wrong. Once again, it's like saying you crossed the state lines from Massachusetts into Rhode Island and committed a crime, came back to Massachusetts and said, well, I live in Massachusetts, so nothing you can do about it. No, not the way it works. not the fucking way it works. Sorry, not sorry. That's just not the way it works. I know you do. But at the same time, I have to address it. I also have to address some interesting comments that Jess Machado made this morning. She made some really disgusting comments about Mike from the Young Jerks and his lovely girlfriend. They are they're separated by age, right? Which is A, none of anybody's business. B, age is but a number, my friends. And C, why does that matter? Does it make her less of a person because of her age? Does it make her less beautiful because of her age? Does it make, I mean, the comments were just insane, right? So they're separated by a big age gap. Who gives a shit? If they're happy, who cares? Why is that even a topic of discussion, right? Why does that matter? If you're going to disparage someone and talk shit about them, I mean, how low can you go realistically? Right. Love is love. It just is, right? Why you get to drag his girlfriend into this has nothing to do with anything, you know? Right. Nothing. And there's nothing wrong with it. And that's why it disgusted me so much, because it was like, but if it was the other way around, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be no problem. I mean, come on. Right? Absolutely nothing wrong with an older man or woman. And so that shit pissed me off. Like that was it. I almost think sometimes she either wants to be him or F him or both. You know, why go after Mike from the Young Jerks for what? And then the comments that were made were, he's not authentic. Everyone else is, she's authentic and Aiden's authentic and, you know, no one else is authentic. The absolute fuckery to make that statement. Cool, you want to be authentic? Cool, Jess. Why don't you tell the world everything you know? Why don't you tell the world? all the things you know about Aiden and his wiretapping escapades. You want to be authentic? Let's be authentic. Fuck it, right? Mm-mm. Not okay. Not okay at all. It really, a lot of people like Mike. I mean, Mike doesn't, go after people in that way, you know? And, I know that I'm sure we've all made mistakes along this path of learning when it comes to YouTube, but he's not a mean person, you know? He's not a mean person. So to me, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't let her either because, I mean, she doesn't deserve to be even talked about. For what reason? Hey, Carol. It just pisses me off. Like, why does not everybody needs to tell the entire world every personal problem they have, or everything about their personal lives. I choose to tell you guys a lot, but I also choose to keep some private things private. That's life, right? And to sit there and try to say that someone's not authentic because you said so. I mean, how out of touch with reality, you know? I didn't do any makeup today. I did none. I didn't. Actually, you mimic my husband. My husband says the same thing. He's not a fan of makeup, but he knows that I love to play with colors and um, do different things. But he actually says the same thing. He says the exact same thing. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, come on. You want to be authentic. There's plenty of things you could be authentic about that you're not, right? Hiding things from the public, like why he decided he was going to wiretap and why he allowed other people to be blamed for his mistake and play the perpetual victim, won't make sense. But what I won't sit here and do, right? And most of you know that I'm not one of those people that goes to like anti-free Karen Reed or free Karen Reed, that I'm sort of in the middle. I go to the beat of my own drum. Like, I might say things that anti-free Karen Reed doesn't like. I might say things that free Karen Reed doesn't like. Oh, fucking well, in my book, right? Because I'm going to say what I think, right? And you guys don't have to agree with me. Obviously, that's your prerogative. But I'm not going to just say it just to fucking say it, right? And so anti-free Karen Reed might not like this, but I find that attack on Mike to be gross. I do. I find it gross. And his girlfriend, there's no reason. And to sit there and call somebody not authentic because you want to reveal to the world every little thing of your life, well, that's your prerogative. But not everyone needs to do that to be authentic, right? You guys get me. This is me, right? I'm not somebody else when I leave the screen, other than, less F-bombs when I'm here. But, most of, besides my bad language, you guys get me, right? And not everyone's going to share every struggle that they have, right? They're just not. That's their personal life. And there's a multitude of reasons. Well, why wouldn't Mike share certain things about his life? Well, probably so the insane turtle writers and people like Just Machado don't sit there and try to use his, personal life as some sort of gotcha, or me for that matter. It's kind of gross at this point. I try to sort of dial it down a little where it's like, whatever. But at the same time, I'm going to address things that I find to be gross, and that I find to be gross. I think, hey, Christina, I think it's a very serious issue, right? Ask yourself one question. Why? The question is why? Why are they going after Mike, JFK, LTL, James Jackson? Why? For what reason? Anyone? Or me? Or any of the other people that I'm not going to name that they keep going after for no real reason? The real reason is they can't have people saying things that are true about them or even hinting at it, or he's got to have a meltdown, right? Because if anybody actually starts to believe the things that are happening behind closed doors that we've been telling people about, or other people have been hinting about, then he's in, for a problem, right? Then people might unsubscribe. Then people might be like, well, I don't stand for that. I don't stand for blackmail and threatening people and just calling them screaming and yelling and demanding that they do X, Y, and Z. It's not okay. That's a good question, Becca. I actually was wondering that myself, and I was hoping that wasn't the case, because I don't know James Jackson. I don't know JFK. I've never spoken with them. But the attacks that he had to endure about his passed away loved one is gross. It's absolutely gross. If somebody did that shit about my James, we'd have a serious issue on our hands, right? I mean, that's disgusting. You want to go after someone who can't even defend themselves because they're no longer here on this earth, but then you want to make these, and that's the problem, is all he has to do is make some ridiculous assertion or some rumor, repeat it, and then you have a gaggle of idiots that believe everything that comes out of his mouth. I mean, what in the hell? Lieutenant Dan said he was on last night for a minute. I mean, if that doesn't show you how low someone will go, and for what? Nobody asks themselves the question, why? Why are these coordinated attacks between these 3 or 4 creators to everyone else happening? Because everyone else is sick of the shit. Everyone else is sick of the bullshit. There are a lot of people, I'm going to tell you, behind closed doors that have pulled away from this entire thing. Oh, he was having a problem. Yeah. Yeah, the changes, it drives me nuts. Yes, Carol. I went to sleep. I was asleep before 10 o'clock. I was out like a light. But I mean, it just boggles my mind that people don't stop and ask themselves, why? Why are these things happening? Why are people being attacked? I mean, he never stops talking about Leah, ever. Ever, just forever talks about her. It's like, for what? Dude, she wants nothing to do with you. She moved on with her life a long time ago. She moved 850 miles away. She runs her own business and she does it damn fucking well, dude. She works herself to the bone. All right. Why you keep talking about her, bro? It has no relevance to anything at all. At all. Ooh. Are you making pumpkin bread? Pumpkin bread. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to set boundaries. You know what I mean? You got to set your own. Oh, you're a mastermind of a conspiracy. Aren't we all, right? Aren't we all in some vast conspiracy that we have no idea existed? I mean, if I had a penny for every time that man claimed a setup or a conspiracy, holy shit, we would all be rich. I mean, really. At what point, right, do people start questioning why? Right? Why? That's the problem that I have with it, which is people aren't questioning the why. They care so much about the drama that they don't stop and think, why is the constant attacks a thing that keeps happening? I've answered that question more than once, right? Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right? They were cherry picking the sort of FOIA emails, which is partly why I think the court was like, wait a second, hold on. We can't do all that. Like, that's when you get this information, it's specifically, you can't use it to try to incite or have someone harassed. That's not rocket science. We all know that. Yet a lot of the times that's exactly what it's used for. Exactly what it's used for. Right. And that's an issue. Right. That's an issue. Yeah. Everything's nefarious. I just want to point out that you can make anything nefarious. Literally anything. You can take one text message and put it up on the screen and make it look nefarious or shady or sketchy. That's the stuff that drives me absolutely freaking bananas. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's our job as grown-ass adults to know when someone's pulling the wool over our eyes and when someone is lying to cover their own shit. To me, it's abundantly clear, and I'll tell you, personally, I've heard from other people who recently, and this isn't something that just recently people have told me, this is something that people have been telling me for 2+ years now. Yeah, of course it is. I mean, wonder why, you know what I mean? Like, he's a dude does weirdo shit. Weirdo fucking shit, right? But think about the go back to the basics, right? The basics of any time he does it is always when he's trying to pull the attention from something he did, or he knows it's about to come out, or is coming out, or might happen. Then it's throw the attention at everyone else, right? It's not hard to figure out when you step outside of it. And so recently I've been hearing more and more people who have been, sending me messages and saying, like, for so long I was in this, and for so long I defended him, and for so long I blindly did this, and just right now something he said or something he did or something someone else said triggered me to go, I need to take a break, right? And they took a break and they came back, and when they came back they were like, holy shit, now I'm on the other side of this. I'm sort of looking around and going, it's so clear to me now. Why wasn't it clear to me then? Right? And I'd argue that's kind of how a cult works, right? When you're in said cult, it's a commune, right? A group, enthusiasts, or people who like the same thing, or spiritual, or whatever you want to call it. But in reality, it's a cult. And most people don't know until they have escaped that cult or are standing on the outside watching in. And then they start to realize that, holy shit, there's some things happening that I condoned, that I even might have contributed to, that I didn't even stop to think why, how, and what the correlation was, right? I mean, that's hilarious to me. And that, Christina, that flies in the face of what he says personally, privately. Like, what he says privately to people is literally the opposite. He literally laughs in his personal messages about the people in Free Karen Read and how they're all older women, and how he thinks that they're all ugly and stupid, and they'll just keep giving him money and they'll believe anything he says. So it's funny what he says publicly versus what I know he says privately. Those are two very different things. That's not authentic. You know what I mean? It's not authentic if you ask me. Oh, girl, you are brave. I won't watch him. I can't. Oh God, I couldn't even. I mean, they're bad. They're bad. They're bad. I mean, this is the kind of crap that I just don't get, right? It's always a coordinated attack. Remember that. You're always going to have these coordinated attacks where it's going to be him and whoever's following him in that moment of creators. So whether that's Jess Machado or Baker or Blair or whoever, they're all going to sort of follow in on what he's doing, so it doesn't piss him off that they're not doing what he wants them to do. Is that authentic? I don't think so. I don't think it is. What does Mike from the Young Jerks have anything to do with anything? He doesn't. To call him not authentic is not authentic itself. To say anything about his girlfriend is even more deplorable and disgusting. What does his girlfriend have anything to do with anything? I heard she's a lovely woman. So I don't get it. Oh, of course. That account isn't a very angry, mean person behind it. And it's sad because we're talking about people who clearly are lacking something in their own lives that they have to go to those lengths, right? It's unfortunate. There's a stark similarity between him and a lot of narcissistic assholes, and it's unfortunate that it takes so long for some people to see it. But right, it's no one's business. But I also see, like, the hypocrisy in a lot of this stuff. to sit there and say, and I think this was extremely out of touch. Just Machado apparently told people that they should stockpile 30 days of food. How out of touch with reality are you? Do you think people have the money to stockpile an extra 30 days of food? What world do you live in? I mean, we're talking about somebody who just complained about $1,000 in car repairs for her kid, which I wouldn't have the money to cover, saying she didn't have the money to cover it. So if you don't have the money to cover that, right, why would you think that people have more than that to stockpile 30 days of food? I mean, how out of touch can we be here? You know? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Right? Exactly. Most people are struggling week by week to put food on the table. You know? Oh yeah, MREs are wicked expensive. You know, even survival food is expensive. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm like, how out of touch do you have to be? Right? How out of touch do you have to be to say stockpile 30 days of food? No one has that kind of money to stockpile 30 days of food. That's crazy to me. Some of them are very tasty. I will not disagree with you on that. Some of them are not, but some of them are very tasty. I like to bring some of those if I'm going to go hiking in case of emergency. So they always go in my pack, you know. I haven't been hiking in a really long time though. My legs can't do what they used to anymore. But right? I mean, that's like a treat. That's like a serious treat to be able to order out. Canning. Yeah, some people do canning. She had to go to the store. I actually talked to her before the stream, so she went to the store. So she'll be popping in a little late. They are so cool to check out. So cool to check out the prepper stores. They're so cool. I'm like, I want a bunker. Can I get a bunker? Give me a bunker. I want a bunker. I find venison. I've tried venison. I found it to be a little chewy for my liking, but hey, if I had to survive on venison and there was no beef, I would do it. I've had venison chili. It's very tasty, a little chewy, but very tasty nonetheless. You know, freeze dried, huh? Also, I just found out that Amazon, it popped up on my Prime thing. They're starting their like Black Friday sale thing on the 20th, I guess, for like a whole week or a little more than a week, I guess, because Black Friday is on my birthday, which is the 28th. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it wasn't cooked right, but it was a little chewy for my liking, but it was still good. It was still good. It was a good chili, you know? It was a good, oh, there she is. See, you call her name and she shall appear, my friends. I don't know. Someone made a comment. She read the comment and then, of course, started trashing Mike, which there's no reason for that. If you've ever had a personal conversation with Mike, he's not a bad guy. He's actually a decent person, right? But I don't think many people bothered, you know? But I mean, why drag his, even if you don't like Mike, right? Why are you dragging his girlfriend into anything? And then, of course, she makes this, what she thinks is a joke and says, I'm not trying to make fun of Mike and his senior citizen girlfriend. I mean, who says that? Once again, who cares what her age is? That is fucking disgusting and deplorable. Why the need to say that? You know? I wish I had a deep freezer. That would be amazing. I know, right? I would love a bunker. I'm not even kidding. I would totally love a bunker. Something has to happen in my lifetime where we might all need a bunker. And y'all are welcome. If I get a bunker, y'all are welcome in my bunker if I get one. You know? Oh, that is so awesome to hear. Generators are definitely good to have. My grandparents had one for like winter storms and stuff. I've never had a generator. So if we lose power, we screwed. We screwed over here, you know? Yeah, that's an expensive generator, huh? That's an expensive goddamn generator. I love it. I love it. They are pricey. They're very pricey. Girl, I hear you on that. I went to bed early. I went to bed before you did. I was in bed. you know? They're very pricey until the asteroid smacks into the planet. You know what I'm saying? I totally would love a bunker, you know? That's also true. It is, to keep other humans away. But I would want a big enough bunker to be able to save all the people I love plus extra. You know, the neighbor that's like pounding on your bunker as something crazy is happening. You want to let the neighbor in, right? You want to share. You want to have enough, right? And you know me. If I was like Oprah, I'd be like, "And you get a bunker, and you get a bunker, and you get a fucking bunker. Everyone gets a goddamn bunker." Oh, so like it just automatically kicks on? Is that what it does? Very true. You know, I'm convinced that they actually have Antarctic like bunkers and tunnels, the government, because it would be in a place that no one would look, right? No one would look there. I mean, I know they have certain things, but I'm convinced they have more than what we know about, you know? I mean, what a great place to hide it, but Antarctica, right? Seriously. But I did want to address those comments that Jess made because I found them to be distasteful, not authentic, and gross. Okay. Why does his girlfriend have anything to do with anything? We did find a signal under the ice, and it was one we had never heard before, right? I know, but it's kind of cool to think about. Ooh, on a Caribbean island. That sounds like a dream. They do. They have these big, do they live in Hingham or Hull? They have these big, giant wind turbines down there. Oh my God, Twilight Zone. Yes, I remember it. Do, 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 do. Exactly. You laugh at him until he's the one letting you into the bunker, right? Then everybody wants a piece of it. It's like, the little chickie that wouldn't help make the bread, you know? You got to help make the bread or you can get to eat the bread. It's kind of how it works. That's how it works. It's like the oldest story that I think I was told as a kid. Nursery rhyme type deal, you know? If you don't help to make the bread, then why do you expect to get some of the bread after it's made, you know? I get that, but I also want my viewers to know that to me it doesn't matter what side you're on, right? That right is right and wrong is wrong, right? So just because Mike was free Karen Reed and I was sort of anti free Karen Reed, does that mean that I should sit there quietly and say nothing when something like that happens? No, because if I'm not calling it every which way, then that's hypocritical, right? Like it doesn't matter to me who does this shit to it. Just don't do it, dude. Don't do it. There's no reason for it. Oh, I love that. I love that. So I'll tell you guys a fun little cute story before I need you guys' advice, right? Before I start in on these cases. So I mean, I know he is, but to me, I heard it this morning. So these are just my thoughts on it. These are just my comments on it. I haven't talked to Mike about it or anything like that, but I heard it and it just instantly like my husband actually is a couple years younger than me, right? So I'm the older one in the relationship. And he keeps me young, I'm telling you. But I think maybe that's where it struck a chord. I mean, my husband's only 3 years younger than me, but still younger than me nonetheless. And so I'm like, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Like that doesn't that's a reason to try to throw an insult at someone? Like, you know, that's weird. That's weirdo shit. If you're asking me, it's freaking weirdo shit. It's weirdo. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. And I needed to give my, 2 cents on it. I had to. I needed to. I needed to. 100% needed to. I did. See? I did the same thing way back when I was much younger. I was in my 20s. The guy was in his 40s. We were a very big, I was a grown adult. You know what I mean? I cared about him. So why does that matter? I was a grown adult. You know what I mean? And I get it. I attempt to ignore a lot of shit, and I do ignore a lot of crap, especially when it comes to me. I ignore a lot because I'm not going to respond to nonsensical bullshit. It makes no sense. We're talking about rumors that have no truth to them. Why would I respond to them? If I responded to every ridiculous, nonsensical thing someone said about me, that'd be my full-time job. So that's like, I'm not going to do that. Well, it's not boys though, right? Jess is a woman, a grown woman. Funny you say that, Wallflower. All the men I've dated, besides my husband, have all been older than me. My husband is the only one who has ever been younger than me. Which is fine. Fisticuffs, zingers, whatever you want to do, cool. But it was a woman who had the problem. That's, you know what I mean? To say, well, I'm not really making fun of Mike and his senior citizen girlfriend. What is that? What? Who says that? That's how it used to be, Nunya. That is how it used to be, right? You duke it out, you have a beer together and a pizza together, and everything's great. You got all that, pent up aggression out and done, right? It's not the way it works anymore, unfortunately. I feel like it would probably be easier if it was that way, That's a little cray-cray, But same. Age is but a number, my friend. See? You go, girl. You go, girl. My husband loves to joke around with me. He's like, babe, you're robbing the cradle. I'm like, dude, you're 3 years younger than me. He's like, well, you're still a cougar. I'm like, sure. Whatever you say, babe. Whatever you say. My husband's from a family of both boys and girls, but they definitely used to duke it out. You know what I mean? Definitely. You do that thing, auntie. Right? It makes you feel young, but my husband still makes me feel young, even though I'm the older one. That's what used to happen, right? You duke it out and it'd be done, be over with, end of story. So, all right, fun story before I get on to the cases here. My daughter has been begging for a cat for a while now. And my neighbor on a street like over from mine was getting rid of the cat because her boyfriend who was living with her had gotten the cat, had adopted the cat, and when he moved out, he didn't take the cat, right? So she has 2 dogs, and one of the dogs was getting kind of aggressive with the cat. So they had already adopted this. Well, he had adopted this cat, and then he moved out. And then, so now the cat was confined to just the one room, the one small space, because her dog was trying to like eat the cat, right? And so my other neighbor reached out to us and we're like, hey, we knew that you guys were looking to maybe get a cat for your kiddo. Do you want to take this cat? She's fixed. She's very sweet. She's stuck in one room because the dog keeps trying to eat her. And so I talked to my husband and we were like, sure, and they were like, oh, she comes with conspiracy appointment. Whoop, whoop, girl. She comes with, all the stuff that she has. Right. And we were like, sure. So essentially we adopted this cat, right? She is so sweet. Okay. And she was hiding out. We got her 2 days ago. And so if you know cats, if you move them into a new place, they become very skittish. They hide sometimes for like a week. They don't want to come out. They'll come out to eat, use the bathroom, they'll go back into their little hiding space. Right. And so we get the cat. I'm going to tell you guys the cat's name in a minute. You're going to like this. I didn't name the cat. Cat came with the name. Right. But so, when I tell you the cat, and I was out at the laundromat when my husband went and collected the cat, and it was a surprise to my daughter. So she didn't know the cat was coming. But so I was on FaceTime with my daughter when she called me to tell me, Daddy brought home the cat, right? And she was so excited. And she's like on FaceTime with me, and she pans over, and I see this huge cat tower. And I'm like, whoa, 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 go back. What is that? And she's like, oh, it came with the cat, right? And I'm like, it's this huge, like, scratching post, and she can, go into like a little thing and climb up another thing. It's like one of those big cat play, whatever things, right? And she came with her whole box of toys and the litter and the litter box and the dry food and the treats and everything you could think of, literally everything, even a cat bed. She had a cat bed. But she did not want to come out for the first day. She stayed under my daughter's bed. Okay. She did not want to come out. She was afraid. She would let you pat her. She would come close to your hand and she would rub up on your hand and she would let you pat her and she would meow. She never hissed. She never took her claws out. She's very sweet, but she was still afraid, right? So she's under the bed. I tuck my daughter into bed with the cat under the bed. Put my daughter to sleep in her room. I shut the door. We all go to bed, right? And I wake up the next morning to wake my kid up for school, right? And I open the door and she is not in her bed. There's no blankets on her bed but the sheet, and her bed is pulled out. She's not on the outside of the bed. So I'm like, where is my child? Where's my child? Yeah, cat condo. That's what it is. Frankenstein. I love that. I love that. So, right? I go around her bed and she is blankets underneath her. She's got this like long, you can like sit on it to read or lay on it to watch TV or whatever on the floor. And there's this big giant like fuzzy pad. It's kind of like a dog bed, like a big dog bed, like flat, but it's like a long big. So she has that thing in her room. And so she's laying on that, pillows, blankets, she's on the floor and her face is half under the bed. And I wake her up and I'm like, honey, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I didn't want the cat to be scared, so I slept on the floor with her because she wouldn't come out from under the bed. She said, oh, she was licking my face. And I was like, oh my God, that is about the cutest thing ever, right? So she's sleeping on the floor with her face facing underneath the bed because she didn't want the cat to be afraid, right? But yesterday she decided she was gonna start coming out, right? So we're patting her and she's finally coming out. And now she's looking around and she goes, from my daughter's room into my room. And she's, looking around. And then she comes into the living room. She kind of goes under the futon and she's rooting around a little bit there. And she's scratching in the rug a little. And she comes out, she goes into the bathroom, she jumps into the bathtub, realizes that's a little wet, comes back out of the bathtub, goes into the kitchen. And then she like kind of sits under the kitchen table, which is hard. It's, tile. But it's cold on the floor. And I'm like, that's probably not comfy, kitty. Right. And so I'm patting her and she's coming out further and further and further. And so finally, right. And I think that's part of it. She still kind of looks around almost as if the dog's going to come out of nowhere and try to, grab her, which is what I assumed. Right. And yeah, so it's, but she's such a lovey. She is. And so I think she is still looking for the dog, right? That's what I think she's looking for. But so, she's finally comes out last night and she's now freely sort of walking around the house, walking around the house, whatever. And I'm sitting on my bed and I'm like getting ready for the bed and tapping on the bed. And she jumps right up on the bed and I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere here. Right now we're getting somewhere. We're getting her to kind of hang out in the house and not be underneath stuff. And I didn't expect it to happen this soon, but I was happy nonetheless. So last night I'm in my bed and I hear her, kind of rooting around the house. She wants to like explore. And I'm like, well, you're finally living up to your name now, cat, right? The cat's name is Dora. And boy, was she exploring last night. And I think she's still looking for Swiper. But Swiper, no swiping here. There's no dog that's going to come eat her here. So I think she's still looking for the dog that was, gonna catch her, but her name is Dora. Yeah. Her name is Dora. And she was exploring all over the house last night. And so, but she jumped up on my bed a couple of times while I was sleeping and just kind of sat next to me. It was adorable. And I'll have to show you guys, I'll have to take a picture, but she's a calico. She's orange and black, and it's got some white on her belly. And she's very fluffy face, very fluffy tail, and she is the sweetest girl ever. Um, and we absolutely adore her. We love her. She's great. So that's my cute little story about Dora, who was exploring, and my kiddo who decided she was going to sleep under the bed because she didn't want the cat to be afraid, which was the cutest thing ever. I'm telling you, I should have taken a picture, but I had to wake her up for school and not have time. And she was just, the way she answered me when I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I didn't want Dora to be afraid." And I was like, "That's so cute." So, I mean, we got some, soft food for her. Obviously, that's the only thing she could come with was soft food. So we picked up some soft food for her. And she has pretty much everything else that she needs. Yeah, right. I'm in the Fur Moms Club now. Right. And exactly. And so we did basically adopt this cat so that it didn't go to a shelter, because that's what was happening. And the cat was already adopted from a shelter. So it's been adopted twice now, I guess you could say. She has dry food. Definitely has dry food. It's definitely better for them for sure. Um, but we got everything we needed for the cat. So there's nothing that we, need. It came with, there's a ton of litter still in a box. So it's like we have a ton of that already. And it came with a huge thing of dry food, even treats. But I'm glad that we could, we could keep her. She's such a sweet girl. She's such a sweet girl. I absolutely love it. And so, but now I'm like, now I have to have an extra stocking for Dora, because my kid said so. And so now, we got to get the glitter pens, because I usually get, that's how you write your name on a stocking these days, right? Just from when I was a kid, that's how we did it too. Is you get the glitter pens and you write the name, you let it dry, right? So now we're going to have to I have extra stockings, thank God, in my, box of Christmas stuff. But now we're going to have to make Dora her own stocking for Christmas and get her some new cat toys or whatever. And she likes the ones that she has, but she's a very, very sweet girl. And I'm happy that we have her, and my daughter's even happier that we have her. So, that's my cute story about our new fur baby. And we love her to pieces. She couldn't be a sweeter cat if we tried. Um, and my kiddo is so responsible with like making sure her water is filled and cleaning her bowls. And I love it. I love that she's being so responsible. We use glitter pens, but you could do that too. Elmer's glue and sprinkle glitter on it. My grandmother always bought us like a jumbo pack of the 15 different colors of glitter pens, and we would put our names on our stockings and write little hearts on them or whatever. I am going to have to I think I have two what they call like stocking weights, where you put them like on a table or on a ledge and then you hang the stocking from them, because we don't have a fireplace, so I'm going to have to get 2 or 3 more of those Ladberries for the house. I either have 2 or 3, I can't remember, but they're actually very cute. They're like little cactuses with like a snow globe sort of attached to it, and it's all Christmas. It's very cute. But it's that or put holes in the walls. I don't want to put holes in the walls by just hanging them on the wall. So, yeah, the windowsill. That's what we usually do. We put the little, it's like almost like a paperweight, and it's just got a hook on it, and it's to weigh it down so that the stocking doesn't overweigh, and I necessarily don't need one because my stocking's always empty. So I don't necessarily need one for me, but for everyone else, I usually have them. So I had 5 or 6, and one of them broke when we moved, and one of them broke right after Christmas last year. So, yeah, sometimes the kitchen table, usually I'll just put them, if I have to, just lay them right on the couch, just in line, whose is whose, just lay them in line on the couch as well. Like if, coloring books and things like that, I always keep out of the stocking if it won't fit in, just put it, everybody has their own little stocking pile or whatever. So we'll sometimes do that too. Depends. But I definitely I have to get a tree. I have to get a tree this year too. Do you guys use fake trees or real trees? I need to see how many of you use fake trees and how many of you use real trees. It's my favorite part of Christmas because I'm not a fan of Christmas. But the part of Christmas that I love is just watching the kids, open their gifts and the looks on their faces when they get something that they, really wanted, or even something they didn't know that they wanted, but were very, very excited to get, you know? Yeah, fake. See, my grandparents always insisted on a real tree. They always very much insisted on a very real tree. My grandfather was very stern about wanting his real tree every year, and my grandmother did not start getting um fake ones until after my grandpa passed. Um, but I'm definitely in for we had a real one last year. I'm in for a fake one this year because like you said, they're cleaner, they're easier, there's no, you know, water, maintenance, all that crap. Um, oh, Maine Coon, they have such big paws. I love them. Ricky, Lucy. Oh, and I love it. Ricky and Lucy. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Artificial's just cleaner, I feel like, right? It just is easier that way. You know what I mean? Dude, the real trees are like 65, $80 for a 6-foot tree. What? Crazy. But my grandparents absolutely had to have a real tree every year, you know? I love the fiber optic ones. Those are pretty cool too. I had a pink one for years and it broke when we moved. It was years old, but it broke when we moved and I was so upset. I'm trying to hold out to save up for the one I have on my wish list, which I think is like 70 or $80. And it's pink. And I think it has already the lights. Because the last time I made the mistake of not getting one with lights already on it, I wanted to string my own lights because I wanted purple lights on my pink tree. And I could just add the purple lights if I really want to ones that already have lights on them. So this time I added one that has lights already on it. Yeah, pre-lit. Exactly. Pre-lit. Oh yeah, see? And then you're gonna have to vacuum the needles and oh my god, 120? That's crazy. Most people actually go to Bridgewater where they can actually cut down their own tree. There's a Christmas tree farm there and you can go and actually pick your own and cut your own tree and it's a whole thing and there's always a huge freaking line there for anybody to get their own tree. I love purple lights. But the pre-lit is definitely easier for sure. Let me see here. Oh my god, that's hilarious. A bluey tree. I love that. And he will love that. Does he love bluey? I love that. Pink, white, blue, and 4 green. Ooh, so pretty. White's nice too. Or I could put pink lights on it. That would be, you know what I mean? Yeah, I can't believe that. $120? That is crazy. That's nuts. That's nuts. That's insane. Yeah, no. 120, no. Absolutely freaking not. Ooh, the northern lights, supposed to be able to see them, right? We've had a lot of clouds. That's been half of the problem there. Oh, perfect. Yeah, because see, it's getting it up my staircase. That's a problem. If something isn't in a box that I could get up my staircase, it's very narrow, hence why a regular couch would not fit. We tried, we got it to the doorway, turned it this way, turned it that way. Didn't happen. So it is what it is. We got a piece of it. We got the chair of it. That made it in. The rest of it, not so much. So we got this sort of futon couch. It's comfy, but it's not a regular couch. I was thinking about, you guys ever heard of those cloud couches? The no bones cloud couches? I think that would probably be the easiest thing to get into my house where it's an actual sort of couch and would be comfortable enough are those like no bones cloud couches. Oh my god, the upside down trees. I've seen people do like the Dr. Seuss like sideways trees, and I'm like, oh, those are so cool. No, is that a thing? That's kind of cool. I love when people come up with their own sort of things. You know what I mean? Ooh, I have to look at them. I haven't been on Facebook. I've seen those ones that you put on the wall and the felt ones where the kids are supposed to decorate them. I know like sold out last year or something like that. You know, I like colored lights too. I like the colored ones. Maybe it is a Southern tradition, but it's definitely something I'm not heard of before, which makes it very unique. You know, I like the colored lights on the tree. I like the outdoor lights to be like white or green and red flashing in between, but I find the white ones on the outside to be very clean and the colored ones inside on the tree for the kids, you know? Oh, see, Ski knows what you're talking about with the pickle in the tree. I love it. Trolls. Nightmare Before Christmas. My middle loves Nightmare Before Christmas. Don't ask me why. I don't know. She just does. Right? It never has enough lights. You gotta spruce it up a little with some. I could always, every time I try to get pink lights though, all the years that I didn't have a pink tree, I had like a regular one, regular green fake one before that. All the freaking pink lights would be like out of stock very quickly. Oh, listen, all right. I was just saying the other day I can't find the damn shelf. I mean the elf. The shelf. The elf. And I need to find the singular elf. We had two at one point. One broke. It was old. And I know last year we had one to where the hell is the elf? I cannot find the damn elf anywhere. And I'm hoping we didn't lose it in the move because those are too expensive. I cannot afford another elf. And my kid, my last little loves that stupid elf. You know? She loves it. I love that. That's such a cool idea though. The whoever finds the pickle in the tree. I mean, how do you just not smell for it though? Is it in a package or you just put the pickle in there like just pickle, right? Because I'd be like smelling the tree. I'd be like, where's the I'm gonna find the you gotta find the pickle by smelling it, I feel like, you know? Oh, those are so cool. I love that. Like a little gingerbread house. I freaking love that. I love that. But the elf is fun. After a couple years, start running out of ideas, but somebody can always give you a good idea. Yes, I love those lights. Yes, please. I love when people post pictures of what they do with their elves. Some people do the most hilarious things. So it's not a real pickle, it's a fake pickle? I'm the I'm the elf, god damn it. It's an ornament that looks like a pickle. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. I know, right? With my own wrapping paper. I can't even imagine opening a gift that was wrapped in my own wrapping paper. That would be kind of cool. Twist and Tragedies wrapping paper and you don't know what's in there. That would be kind of cool. My husband's not smart enough though to go on there, buy the wrapping paper and do that. It's a fake pickle. Okay, got it. I was going to say, I mean, if it was a real pickle, I just have to be smelling. Love gingerbread houses. We usually do like the Oreo version because I'm not a fan of the gingerbread flavor. So we like to do the Oreo flavored version of gingerbread house, so that when we eat it, it's delicious. Cookie Monster. Oh my gosh. I love to bake, but I'm more of a cupcake baker than a cookie baker. I love to make different kind of cupcakes. A banana split cupcake or a s'mores cupcake with a graham cracker crust. Oh, so good. So freaking good. But my good fashioned favorite one is rainbow chip with rainbow chip. Rainbow chip, cupcakes with rainbow chip frosting. It's delicious. All right, let's see. Where is it? Right? Can a dog help? Well, I do have the ones that said I survived a Turtle Boy cult and the ones that say I survived a Turtle Boy tantrum in my store. Ooh, brownies. Girl, yes. Get me a good, my favorite kind of brownie. Everybody would think it would be like a brookie, but my favorite kind of brownie is just a basic chocolate walnut brownie. So good. So good. Well, apparently it's not a real pickle, so they wouldn't be able to smell it. It's a it's a fake pickle. Imagine though if I came up with just one that was a nose. It would have to be shaped like a penis though, sorry. Ooh, that's kind of fun. A gingerbread making contest. All right. So, I'm trying to see, where is it? Videos. Right? You're the Christmas Carol, Carol. All right, so we got, why is there two of these? I'm going to do the whole 20-minute interview, I think. Hold on. All right. Ooh, yucca tree. It is ridiculous. This shit is ridiculous. All right. It was important to bring up because not a lot of people have seen this interview. And so I thought it would be interesting to play the Corey Richards attorneys are speaking exclusively to News, right? And what they're saying, which is interesting. Oh God, don't remind me. I don't even know how I'm going to pull off Christmas. I never usually do. When you live paycheck to paycheck, it's like an impossible task that just can't happen. And the show's had a really shitty 2 weeks. So I have no idea how I'm going to pull off Christmas. No freaking clue whatsoever. But I'll tell you that I'm going to damn sure try. All right. Well, you tell me how old your brother's kids are and what are they, boys or girls? And I'm sure that we could definitely help you figure it out. For sure. I mean, most of us are parents, moms, dads who've had kids of all ages. So I'm sure that we could totally help you figure that out, Nanya. That too, buying secondhand or buying, small businesses that make things, or you can make things too. Like I make glasses, shirts, all sorts of stuff. I have a Cricut. And so when you make something that's personal or has someone's name on it, or has a little saying or something they always say, it's, I love those kinds of gifts. I love those. Right? I forgot. Scorpio worked at Toys R Us. So okay. Girl, boy, girl. So girl, age 7, boy, age 5, and girl, age 3. Well, the girl is 7. So I would say Barbies. That's an easy one. My Generation doll, or what the equivalent of that is, My Life doll. So Walmart has one and Target has the other, but they're interchangeable with clothes and because they're the bigger dolls. They're like the actual dolls that are like American Girl dolls. And then Barbies, obviously, she's 7. I mean, 7 is a fun age where they're into like so many different things that you really can't go wrong with whatever you buy her in the girly aisle. Lots of kids love those like blind box toys where they don't know what's going to be inside, what kind of stuffed animal it's going to be, what kind of a lot of them love that kind of stuff. 5 for a boy, Nerf guns, the drivable toy cars, they love those. Depends on if they like sports, or if they like to skateboard. 5 is a fun age for boys, and 3, that, I mean, can't go wrong with like going into the kids aisle and getting like the Minnie Mouse Tea Party set for a 3-year-old. They would absolutely freaking love it. To play hockey, well, that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You can always get new pads, new sticks. Yeah, they're like American Girl dolls, except less expensive. I loved Corey Richards' first lawyer, Sky. I loved that lawyer. I wish she could have kept her. That would have been great. Oh, listen, I haven't gotten a lottery ticket for Christmas in a stocking or anything else for that matter in, oh my God, I don't even know how many years. That would be fun. I usually put them in my husband's stocking, you know? It is, but even if he was 5 or 6, it'd be sort of the same, sort of the same stuff they're into. They also like things like Pokemon, Ninja Turtles, Mario, all that kind of stuff, you know? 12, yeah, you do 12 towns. I wish they were closer to me, that's for damn sure. Legos, yep. See, I only like the minifigures. I collect minifigures for the Legos. Oh, I love that. I love that. That is such an awesome idea. Yeah, bracelet making kits for the 7-year-old. Although I'll tell you as a mom, I literally hate beads. I hate them so much. And I hate when people buy them for my kids because my kids already have so many of them. They don't need any more anyway. With the bracelet making, because I feel like that's always a go-to one with the beads. And the beads end up everywhere. They get thrown out. I like beads, but at the same time, I'm like, God damn it. She has enough of those anyway. Hot Wheels, yep. Wrestling, yep. Those are always good ones. Books and Legos. I definitely haven't met a kid that doesn't like Legos. A custom stick or tickets, that would be an awesome gift. I would see, I don't have like aunts and uncles and stuff. My mother was adopted, so I only have one aunt. She never had any kids and she's low income, but I never got anything like that from an aunt or an uncle or anything, you know? Yeah, depending on the kid, sensory toys. A lot of the kids like fidgets, all different kinds of fidgets, pop poppets, all those little things. And then always with the parents, ask the parents before you buy it because if they already bought it, now you're double dipping, you know? Oh, I don't buy them either, but it's nice to get one once in a while. I don't he doesn't. He doesn't. We live paycheck to paycheck. It's the kids, you know what I mean? The kids are where it goes. So, usually I just throw an orange in it. I used to leave mine empty, you know, and, then last year, or was it the year before last, my little started asking me why Santa was skipping me. She's like, "Mommy, why is Santa skipping you? And your stocking is the only one that's empty. Were you bad?" And I'm like, "No, I wasn't bad." So then I had to start just filling it with random household shit so she didn't think Santa was skipping me. I agree with you, Sam. I agree with you. Roblox gift cards is always a good one. My kid definitely could appreciate one of those. Um, well, that's why you have us ladies. You know what I mean? I liked Sky. I liked her. Oh, I hate puzzles. I hate puzzles so much. I hate them so much. My kids never use them except once in a blue moon. And the pieces end up everywhere. Then they're missing pieces. Oh, I hate slime. But yes, my kids do like slime and they have gotten slime many times. No toys, they got enough. Okay, so then, yeah. So then clothes and then, if they play sports, definitely sports stuff. Um, is it? I didn't know that. I guess I wasn't paying attention to who his lawyer was. Yeah, that's probably gonna be expensive, you know? Oh, that's kinda cool. I didn't know you could do that. That's kinda cool. Yeah, I'm not lucky at any of that. None of that, you know? I did, yeah, years ago, I got the kit, and since it actually I got it in late 2019 and I did the kit in early 2020. It took me a couple weeks of going through the family tree and whatnot to try to. Oh, McDonald's gift card's always a good one, or DoorDash for the kids so they can DoorDash their own food that mom and dad don't, always want them to have once in a while. That's always a great gift for kids or adults. Um, Stanley cups, yeah, the kids love Stanley cups. I love that. That's such a yeah, and that's the other thing. A cat will just whoop the pieces off. Oh. Hey, girl. I'm glad you're on your way to the new doctor. That's good. My kids like to paint. They like to do like rock painting or number by painting. They love all of my girls love to paint. Yeah, so I did it. Ooh, Snuggie blankets. That's always good for adults and or kids. Yeah, so I did the kit, and my mother does have biological siblings. Because it was during the pandemic, they didn't never get to meet in person. And I don't think, just because their lives are so busy, I actually don't think they've all gotten together to do that, since some of them live in different states. So it's hard to get them all together. And so even though she does now have siblings, it's not the same as growing up with aunts and uncles and having, they don't know me, I don't know them. And so it's kind of just like, hey, I have biological aunts and uncles that don't know me or my kids and don't live anywhere near me or the kids. So it's kind of like, you say hi to them on social media and all that, but it's not the same as having aunts and uncles you grew up with. And I just don't have that. My mother has 1, 2, 3, I think it's 5 biological siblings. And one passed away during the pandemic. That was one of the ones that lived closest to any of us. My uncle Rick, and we never got to meet him. We got to talk to him on the phone and text message, but he passed away of a heart attack during COVID. So my mom never got to meet him, and both of my mother's biological parents had passed away before I did the DNA kit. So right. But that's why there's Amazon, my friend. Just click and send. Click and send. Yeah, from the age of, I think it was about 13 or 14 until I was 17 and a half and pregnant. I graduated high school with my daughter. I had her just a couple days after my 18th birthday and graduated with her. And yeah, they let me go at about 17 and a half from foster care, unfortunately. Movie theater gift cards. Those are pretty good. Nobody ever gets to go to the movie theater anymore. It's expensive, so you don't really get, nobody has the money to go. But that's definitely a good gift, It just came back from signing a bill against yeah, the and the damn gas costs are through the damn roof. Grown man buys bedazzled bracelet kit for himself and has no shame. No, it's Christmas shopping. You know how many guys have to buy that stuff for their daughters? Come on. But you could always go on Amazon or Walmart.com. That's always good too. Yeah. Or, Michael's. Yeah. We love paint. We did a paint night at my neighbor's house. I mean, mine came out okay. I'm not a painter. Okay. I'll show you guys, but I'm not a painter. I don't draw. And I'm not a painter. Okay. I like crafts, but I don't draw. Okay. I'm not one of those people. I couldn't draw more than like stick figures. All right. Cash is always a good option. Oof, people underestimate how much someone needs cash as a gift. Gift cards are great and all, but you can only use them at those stores unless it's like a Visa gift card, which if you can't decide what store to buy someone, always go with a Visa gift card. They could use it for gas if they have no gas, groceries if they have no groceries. That's always my main thing is if you're not going to give cash and you don't like to give cash, give them a Visa gift card so they can use it anywhere they want or multiple places. $10 here, $20 there, whatever. All right. You're so silly. So this is we decide, no, it's not. It was rescheduled, unfortunately. Bowling gift card. Some kids love bowling or going to the arcade, Oh, no, never. You always want to make sure that if you get something that your kid's not going to use, that you return it for store credit or something and get them something they will use. Or you can always donate it to someone who might need it. 100% Irish. Damn. I'm Spanish as well. I'm Spanish and Irish, Congolesian, West African. I was a mix that I was not prepared to see, Portuguese. We're waiting for a call back from the court. I mean, as far as I heard, it was put off because the court schedule was full, so I'm not sure when it'll be. But this, all right. So we decided at my neighbor's house, what we do is take one of her TVs and we put it at the end of. She has a very long, huge table, and we let the kids do the first round of it and pick their own, and then the adults and the older kids do the second round of painting. And so the little kids picked a different one, and then the older kids and the adults picked this sort of. This was before Halloween, so we did this sort of creepy Halloween house, scene. And this is mine. This is how it came out. I am not an artiste, okay? But it's pretty good. I can't even do stick figures. But I got my creepy tree, and this is how it's supposed to be. So that the house is supposed to have these different, and the moon back there and the one leaf on the tree. I mean, listen, I did the best I could. It looks exactly like the picture that we had, and it did it step by step, except I think we have smaller canvases, so we couldn't go as far down with these sort of steps here. But other than that, it's pretty close to the picture that we had, and we all did them step by step. Everybody's looks a little different, but almost the same. I am not a painter, okay? But it was fun. It's fun to do these paint nights where they give you step by step. And as you can see, it goes from like the moon to like a lighter to a darker around the edges like that. They teach you how to do all that. But it was fun. It was very fun to do. And we're going to do a Christmas one coming up, but this we all have one, all my kids have one, I have one. We all did our own. I like my creepy tree, I'm not going to lie. I like how they showed us how to make the tree. It was pretty cool. But I am not an artiste. I am not someone who normally can draw or paint. Like I can paint, but drawing, no. So I mean, I have to have something to look at or somebody show me how to do whatever it is we're doing. But yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm pretty proud of this one because it came out the closest to any of the ones I've done. But we had fun, and that's all that matters. Is we had fun doing it. Yeah, you're a weird mix like me. Pocahontas, no. Oh, you have an art page? I would like to see it. I don't think you can. You'd have to give the link to one of our mods because if you try to put a link in chat, it automatically kicks it back out. You're the only one who will be able to see it, but if you give it to one of the mods, they can put it in there. You have to be a mod to post a link or it won't post for us to see it. But if you guys wants to send it to Jesse or Ashley or Scorpio, they can post it in the chat for us so you guys can check it out. Interesting. All right. So I like the paint by number. This wasn't a kit. This was just watching it on the TV and doing it step by step. It's like one of those like how-tos that we do. And so you just put it on the TV and you pause. Like you do it step by step and you pause. I like those paint by number ones that are very intricate for like older kids and adults. Those ones are fun. But this was just on the screen and we just did it step by step. And so it was fun. It was fun. We had fun. But you definitely can give the mods oh crap, that's right. Are you in No, you're not in Discord. All right. Are you on Facebook or X? Or if you have my email, send it to my email and I can post it. If you send the link to my email. While you're doing that. Oh boy, 7 days, huh? On Facebook. If you send the link to my email, I can post it. Jesse, can you pop my email into chat? Please and thank you, my friend. All right, let's get into this. While you're doing that, Jesse's going to give you guys my email. Oh, no. Ugh. I mean, he's going to have them watching regardless. It's yes. Wait, you put a G where there's a D, Jesse. Hold on. I do it all the time myself. Hold on. I'll put it in there. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. I got this. Yeah, it's always autocorrect, my friend. I get it. Believe me, it's done it to me a million times. But that's my email, and you just send it to my email. I'll pop it in the chat while we're doing that. Okay, while we're doing that. I mean, that's a pretty cool idea. It's definitely a cool idea. I wonder if anybody's ever thought of that before. All right, let's see. Yeah, they'll get right out of your way, Ash. All right. I'm going to play this interview because it's for the Richens case and not a ton of people have seen the interview. And there's a lot going on with that case. Right now, they have some stuff sealed that we can't even see with the guy saying that he didn't sell her fentanyl. He sent the housekeeper, he sold her Oxy 30s or what they call Roxys or what he called Roxys, which are different in my opinion, but whatever, you know? Oh my God, that's so sad. 17-year-old. I can't. Personal shoppers. Oh, yeah. Right? Personal shoppers probably do charge a fee, right? Okay. It just came up on the news. That's horrible. Sorry. My mic is over there. I moved it when I got up. No, it's not random. That's so sad. Oh, I don't know why. That I can't answer as to why they would be doing that other than money, really, to be honest. I mean, I get it. Your show's got to survive, but without her, they're definitely still surviving. You know what I mean? They get 30, 40, 50 super chats a show. It's not like they're not surviving. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, we got the link for your art. Let's pop it in here real quick before I go through this so nobody forgets. All right. Copy link. Here is the art. I'm going to have to watch it, Carol. I'm going to have to watch it. There you go. That's it, right? Perfect. Standing Stones, we got you. If you guys want to check out Standing Stones art, that is the link that I just put in chat. I think that's awesome. I support any and all, small business, small creators, small, or big, art. Not that anybody big is going to come here for looking for anything like that, but anything like that you do is something fun or a hobby or you're selling. Like, I'm more than happy to support it. This is my job, right? And I've had a hard last 2 weeks for the show. So I have no problem supporting other people. I think it's what we should do. Oh, hey, Brett. I know I have to. I'm thinking about playing your hearing there on Sunday. I was going to play it this Sunday, but I had laundry and all this other crap I had to do. And I want to take my time on that hearing. Oh, you're totally welcome. Totally welcome. I lurk in James' channel. Oh, I haven't seen anything on that. I probably have to delve a little bit into it, but that's for sure. Let's see. Oh, I always want everybody to feel. I know, but I know you want it, but I don't want to like hold it hostage on you. I don't want to hold it hostage on you. But I promise you I will get to it on Sunday. That way you can have it, link back and stuff. All right, let me play this interview for the Corey Richards. These are her current attorneys. before I do that, if anybody wants to help support the channel, there's a bunch of different ways to do so. We have Venmo, CashApp, PayPal, Revolut, Chime. We have a link for credit and debit. It's in the description of the video. It's also pinned to the top of the chat. We depend on all of you to keep us running, keep us going, and we appreciate any and all support. Standing Stone says if anyone goes to the page, use the portfolio option to look at the art. Awesome. I'll put that on the screen. All right, let's play this. Let's play it. Now I got like a million tabs open here. All right. I agree with you, Sam. I probably wouldn't either. I love that. See, Christina already went and checked out the art. I love this. I love it.
Precedented move.
We were willing to take an unusual step of coming forward.
Look, I never thought I would be sitting here.
Corey Richins' attorneys.
She is distraught. She is heartbroken.
Reached out to 2 News Investigates.
That's exactly why we came here. And really, it's an ethical duty.
We have a lot of confidence in you.
To set the record straight.
One thing that's been reported on that they have
Wife's doing her job.
let go, have not corrected.
If their goal is justice, they have not lived up to it.
She's doing her
at
job.
least in this case.
A 2 News exclusive.
And I feel that when I see these narratives come out, it becomes a game. It becomes another line. And we forget that there's somebody on the end of that. And that's a client. That's a human. That's a mother.
A Camas mom charged with murdering her husband.
The narrative is that your client is the Moscow Mule murderer.
She wasn't a chemist.
Is that accurate?
A narrative of alcohol, drugs, and greed.
There are certain things that are out there that we know right now, sitting here today, just aren't accurate.
And her attorneys say false information.
I do think the prosecution has declined to correct false information that has come out in the media, and we've waited and hoped that that would occur, and it never has.
Tonight, Richins' attorneys speak out only to 2 News Investigates.
That's a very, very different narrative.
Camas, Utah, a small town in Summit County.
So this is Utah, right? I mean, look at that place. That reminds me of the mountains that I always visit in New Hampshire. That just looking up at it, but it's beautiful. That's really pretty. But this is Utah. I mean, what a random place, but still beautiful nonetheless. I mean, imagine just looking at that every day. How awesome would that be? That would be freaking awesome.
With about 2,000 residents. Among them, Corey and Eric Richins and their 3 boys.
Their family was so beautiful. Everything was picture perfect.
Linda King used to work with Corey Richins at Home Depot and remembered Eric, who was a contractor coming into the store.
You could never forget his laugh. And I love that laugh so much.
Linda says she encouraged Eric to ask Corey out after she caught his eye.
I says, go over there and check out with her, so they did. And anyway, they ended up having a date. From then on, they were like glued to each other, it was perfect, I thought.
Perfect until March 4th, 2022, when Eric was found dead inside the couple's home. Police originally ruled that there was no foul play in Eric's death from fentanyl. Then a year and 2 months later, things changed. On May 8th, 2023, Corey was charged with her husband's murder. Prosecutors have added additional counts of financial crimes as well. As of today, Corey's charged with aggravated murder, attempted criminal homicide, 2 counts of insurance fraud, and forgery.
Wendy Lewis, and I am lead counsel in the Corey Richins case.
Kathy Nestor, I am one of the attorneys on the Corey Richins case.
Alexander Ramos, co-counsel on the Corey Richins case.
Wendy Lewis, Kathy Nestor, and Alex Ramos took over as Richins' attorneys in May of 2024 after her previous attorney declared a conflict in the case.
What we came in here today were to focus on 4 very serious areas that have been absolutely factually reported incorrectly and that have been discussed publicly in court, in open court. I do think the prosecution has declined to correct false information that has come out in the media, And we've waited and hoped that that would occur, and it never has. And so that is why now, at this moment, at this time, we're coming forward and saying, well, then we're going to correct it. So that's where we are, and that's why we're here.
First up,
The narrative is that your client is the Moscow Mule murderer. Is that accurate? Can you confirm what the murder weapon is?
I can't confirm what the murder weapon is because the prosecution has never told us their theory.
Which is crazy, right? I mean, this case was put off indefinitely at one point, right? Indefinitely. And so you're like, what the hell? Like, what in the actual hell? So is it the drink? They've never said that in legal filings, you know? They've never said that the drink that she made him was the source of the fentanyl. In my opinion, I think, at least with the information we have now, in my opinion, it would be guilty, but you just never fucking know, right? You never know. This shit can get wild. And the attorneys actually dropped some information here that I've not really heard anywhere else. And I've looked and I see, it's not in the filings. So, and now we know, as of a couple days ago, the whatchamacallit, one of the people that they said that the housekeeper bought fentanyl from is saying he didn't sell her fentanyl. He sold her oxys. And then I think the prosecution's argument for that is pretty much everything has fentanyl in it nowadays. How would he know whether it was oxys or pressed oxys with fentanyl in them, right? And I can't read what the guy's affidavit he filed. This was a person who was supposed to be a good for the prosecution and a witness, but now he has an affidavit that he has filed with the court, and I can't read it because it's impounded, basically. So weird, weird. So it's interesting what they have to say. Regardless, they're defense counsel. Their job is to defend their client, right? Even if that means trying to spin things and bring it into, the public realm. And I think the prosecution, that's kind of what legal filings are. It's a way to get it out into the public without speaking directly to. And I've heard people say, well, they're trying to taint the jury pool. Well, I mean, that goes both ways. Prosecution and defense can taint the jury pool by the things that they put in these legal filings and whatever they say, to the media. So, I mean, I don't know. But what they say is some interesting stuff. Does it lead me to think she's innocent? No. But again, there could be stuff that comes out that we don't know anything about. She does say a lot about, some things will be kept for trial and whatever. But at the same time, I don't know. There's a lot of sketchy shit surrounding this whole case. And there's a lot of questions that I have on some of the things that the prosecution has claimed that don't make sense either. So, I mean, I think on both sides, there's some shit that just doesn't make sense. And maybe that's stuff that we will find out at trial, right? But this trial has been put off so much that it's like, well, when are we going to hear this shit? Pretty much like the Walshe case, in which right now, Brian Walshe is being held at Bridgewater, my old job. He's being held there for a competency hearing, and it's due by today, I believe. It's either today or the 14th. But it's due by that day. And then 2 days later, there's a hearing, a final hearing. And then they're thinking about trying to do the trial like 4 days later or 2 days later. So I don't know. We may start this Brian Walshe trial real soon or not. I'll tell you from working at Bridgewater, almost nobody is found to be incompetent to stand trial. Almost no one. Most times they're competent to stand trial and they're found competent to stand trial. I think in the time that I worked there, I might have seen one person that was incompetent to stand trial at that time, but just a month or two later, they were competent. So it's like, I've never really seen someone in a long-standing not competent to stand trial. So I have no doubt that come, this next hearing, they'll say he's competent to stand trial. He might have PTSD from being stabbed in jail, but that's not a reason for him to not be competent to stand trial. I have PTSD. You can choose to do something in your defense, or you could choose to do nothing in your defense. That's on him. But is he competent to stand trial? I believe he is. But again, that's got to come from Bridgewater, where they do the assessment. And that's big part of Bridgewater and where I worked, which was, are these people competent to stand trial, or are they what we call malingering, which is sort of faking it to stay into Bridgewater, which is you get a little more perks there as an inmate. There are some things that you get to do that you wouldn't get to do in regular prison. And so a lot of times we'll have what we call malingerers, which are people who sort of play up their mental illness so that they can have those things, act out on purpose, basically. It's hard to tell, but sometimes people aren't good actors, Oh, I love to dance in a car. Listen, I'm telling you, me and my best friend, we'd be pointing at people, doing the guns just to make people laugh. Like, you and me, just don't roll the window down, car dancing. I kid you not. It's a blast. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be able to do both, school and work. And he did have court today, and then it was put off, and now I don't know what's going on. It was, the court's schedule was full, and then I don't know what's happening right now. I haven't heard whether there's going to be a new date, or I don't know. I'm not sure. Interesting. People throw away some of the craziest stuff. Ceramics. I love that. So my oldest actually said to me for Christmas, she wants ceramics, different ceramics to paint. She likes to paint, even though she's blind. She can see like light and some shadows out of one of her eyes. And she's always been a kid who liked to paint. She was a kid who liked to read too. But she wants ceramics that she can paint. And so I have to find some good ceramics, or, also she wants like, the small little potters that you can, put plants in or whatever, and different kinds of ceramics, whether that's, a photo, ceramic photo thing where you can paint the outside of it. You know what I mean? Like, she likes that stuff. That's what she wants, ceramics. That's what she wants. I love car dancing. I don't have a car anymore, so I don't get to do a lot of car dancing. But if I go with my sister anywhere once in a while, I car dance. We car dance and sing. And the kids love the Squirrels in Your Pants dance. All right. That's a song from Phineas and Ferb. Squirrels in Your Pants. The kids love it. Everyone dances. It's a good time. Oh, my little sings in the shower, and she's just belting it out. She don't care. The kids' book is why this case is so high profile. The kids' book that Corey Richins wrote about grief is exactly why this case became a high profile to begin with, right? It's literally why. So let's get back into this. I know I'm all over the place today. I apologize. Again, I can dance right here, and I do. When I'm doing research on a case and I'm here in my office, like, opened a bunch of tabs, or like I got the music going. I'm beep bopping around. I'm deep, deep, deep. I got headphone in to listen, and I'm beep, 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 beep. I'm doing it. I'm telling you. Interesting. Girl. Every time I see that on something, though, I want to answer something funny. To be fair. All right. Yeah, he would have to pay for them, or ask his followers to pay for them. All right, here we go.
They have never said that it was given in a Moscow Mule, that fentanyl was distributed or in a Moscow Mule.
So she's saying the prosecution has never said this is where the fentanyl came from, is the drink that she made him. But aren't they alluding to that? I don't think they really need to come out and be like, the Moscow Mule is exactly where the fentanyl came from. They've alluded to it numerous times. So I feel like, that's the assertion, right? That the prosecution is making without saying it.
During the preliminary hearing, their lead detective was on the stand, and I asked him the question, sitting here today, do you know how Corey Richins administered fentanyl to Eric Richins? And he said, no. The prosecution has never said that it was in a Moscow Mule. That came up because there was discussions, and I believe a statement by Ms. Richins early on, that she and her husband had drank a Moscow Mule before dinner. So that was something that was just grabbed onto. It's sexy, it's interesting, the Moscow Mule murderer, but the prosecution has never said that that is their theory of the case, not once. I still, sitting here today, don't really know how they're going to claim that Eric Richards ingested fentanyl.
Does the prosecution have an obligation to correct the record, the public record of this?
I mean,
No.
it's the prosecution's job to bring justice. That's what you do as a prosecutor. As a defense attorney, you protect your client's right.
Fair.
A prosecutor needs to find justice, fight for justice.
Fair.
And I believe by not correcting the record, by letting falsities sit out there, that's not what is happening. Now, we'll see what happens in the courtroom, but that, in our view, is something that they should have corrected.
Can you confirm then that the fentanyl was administered in the Moscow Mule, given what you just said about the lead detective O'Driscoll? He couldn't confirm it, correct?
We cannot confirm what their theory is. We believe Ms. Richards is innocent. And, we're not here to convince you or anyone else that she's innocent other than those 8 people that are in the box at the trial. Those are the people
jury.
we need to convince that she's innocent. So that's not why I'm sitting here, but we do want what is accurate to be out there. A lot of it will come out at trial, but there are certain things that are out there that we know right now, sitting here today, just aren't accurate. And the Moscow Mule appears to be one of them. Now, since they have not ever said to us exactly what they think their theory is, I suppose we could be surprised at trial and they'll say, oh, it was the Moscow Mule after all.
I mean, what else would they say? I mean, if I'm the defense, I'm in this lady's shoes, right? The only theory that the prosecution could have in this case would be she gave him the fentanyl through the Moscow Mule drink that she gave him. He ingested it and he passed away, right? But I have some questions. What if he was taking it and she didn't know? What if? I mean, that's not far-fetched, but then there are questions to this whole, did she try to poison him on Valentine's Day thing, right? Daytona 500. It's funny you say that, Stones, because every time they ask my husband at the hospital, he's been to the hospital twice in our relationship, which is 11 years. And he's not a hospital person. He's not like to go to the hospital. One was like a work thing and his hand got crushed when he dropped the oh my God, what is that thing called? Jackhammer. So we went there, right? And they asked him what his religion was, and he said American. And the lady's like, no, your religion, like, Catholic, Baptist. And I'm like, no, he knows what you mean. He has none. He's American. That's what he means, is he doesn't have a specific religion. He's just from America and he's proud to be from America and he does not have a specific religion. He's being a wise ass. Like, and my husband's not like one of those people to be a wise ass, but he's like, no, America, I'm American. And they're like, no, your religion, sir. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm American. And they're like, no, like and I'm like, he knows what you mean. Like that's he's more spiritual. That's hilarious. But I mean, hey, Daytona 500, just saying. You know what? My father loved the Daytona 500. My dad had slot cars that he made, these big scenes for that we used to help him as a kid. And the slot cars would go around, but the Daytona 500 was something my dad used to love watching. But so, okay, back to the case, right? So Scorpio's calling BS. I got it, right? But open your mind for a second. What if, right? What if he bought a perk from someone? Same, right? Nowadays, everything is pressed. Everything has fentanyl in it, which is why you should never take something someone hands you. You just shouldn't, right? If it's not from the pharmacy, you have no friggin' idea what's in it, right? Buying it off the street, dangerous shit nowadays. What if he was having back pain, leg pain, something he didn't want to burden his wife with, and he got something off the street, right? And it happened to have fentanyl in it. What if, right? I mean, there's a lot going on in this case. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered for anybody to get to that point. But I'm just saying, like, I think, in my opinion of what I have seen of the evidence thus far, my opinion would be guilty. Can that opinion change? Absolutely. But I am still asking people to open your mind. Don't just jump, because you never know, right? How many people jump to the conclusion that someone was guilty, and then we find out 20 years later there's evidence to show that they weren't guilty, and all this circumstantial evidence was pointing right at them, when in reality, They didn't do it, right? So I always think back to that when I go through these cases, and I'm like, but what if the alternative, right? Even though I don't think that's what happened here, I always want to make sure that I think of what the alternative could be. Could he have ingested the fentanyl on his own? He could have, but I do think that the prosecution is going to argue that it was in the drink. What else would they be arguing at this point, right? She says, I don't know, we could be surprised at trial and they say that it came in the drink. Well, where else would they say that she gave it to him, right? I mean, common sense and with lunch, you know what I mean? Like where else are they going to say that she gave him this fentanyl? And if anybody has an idea of what you think they're going to say, please put it in the chat. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear you guys' theories on it. Because everyone's going to have a different theory on the case, right? Or in any case for that matter. And I love to hear you guys' theories on it.
But they have never stated that in court ever, or in any pleadings or in any way.
The prosecution has painted your client as the Moscow Mule murderer. What is your opinion on that?
The Moscow Mule has never been stated in open court as being
there's a ton of stuff in
to
this case.
Cause someone's death. I'm not sure where the press came up with that, but the lead detective has testified under oath that as of now, he does not know how fentanyl
So they
arrived in Mr. Rich's.
They addressed the insurance in this. And this is one of the things that I didn't know up until this interview here about the insurance, right? That they address in this interview, which is interesting.
Body. And so the press claiming that there's a murder weapon, that this was it, is just wholly fanciful. It just didn't happen, and it's not ever been said by the prosecution in this case, and it's never been in a pleading in this case, and it's just inaccurate.
Second was Corey in financial distress because of her real estate business. Prosecutors have said at the time of Eric Richen's death, Kay Richen's Realty owed hard money lenders more than $1.8 million.
Kathy, before this, was your client solvent?
So that's one of the issues we felt compelled to speak to the press about. There has been quite a bit of reporting about my client's financial situation. And the concern that we have is that the reports that have come out about her business, the solvency of her business, utterly failed to take into consideration a huge piece of property that she obtained 2 days after her husband passed away. And that's removed from all of the state's calculations. So the equity in that house alone, the value of that one piece of property was enough to cover any debt that she had in her business. And we just feel that that is improper reporting, that arbitrarily cutting off what condition her business was in prior to her husband's death without taking that into consideration is misleading. Furthermore, all of the reporting that is done only focuses on what we call debt service, not the actual value of the property she held. So that's completely being kept out. So it would be like if they said, Ms. Halloran, what is your net worth? And you left out your house. That's a piece of property is an asset and it has value, and that's never taken into consideration. And so we believe that has
Fair.
Also been misreported, and that's something we felt ethically compelled to come forward and correct.
Third, life insurance.
Well, another one that's out there's false is that she took out hundreds of thousands of dollars in life insurance on him shortly before he died. That's not true. She took out one policy that came in the mail, and it was one of those mailers we all get from our credit union saying, sign here for $100,000 free life insurance. Sign here for yourself, sign here for your spouse. You can get $100,000 free life insurance. That was sent in. She sent that in about a month before he died, 4 or 5 weeks before he died. All the rest of his life insurance, and he had a lot of life insurance, was all taken out by him long before that. And he knew of all the life insurance policies that were out on him. And we don't know if he knew of that last one. But in terms of her taking out a life insurance policy on him, that's the only one, $100,000.
So that was something I didn't know before this, right? Because the way that the pleadings read is that she had a ton of life insurance out on him shortly before his death, but they don't really say exactly when. And so I did not know that it was only $100,000 that she had gotten on him, and that the other life insurance policies were all taken out by him. I had no idea about that until this interview. So that's interesting information to learn.
So their motive, according to the state, is, oh, she took out life insurance, she was going to cash in on all this money.
$100,000?
And again, that's not accurate. I mean, she took out an extra $100,000, which may seem like a lot to a lot of people, and it is a lot, but to this family,
1,000 is a lot to me. Never mind.
The other life insurance was well in excess of that last $100,000, and
Fun
that
fact,
amount of
my
money
husband loves Bob Ross.
for
Loved
this
him.
family was not really all that much.
Well,
does the prosecution have an ethical?
I don't think that see, that's the problem, right? It's a defense attorney. So the defense attorney is going to say whatever's in the best interest of their client, but the prosecution's always going to say what's in the best interest of the state. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? I think we're going to have to see the documents, right? Obviously, to confirm that. We're going to have to see who took out what and when and how much it was, right? But I just thought it was interesting information to learn that it wasn't something I had heard before now. So now what happens is we get to find out if that information is a spin based on the defense or if it's a fact and the prosecution kind of used it into their filings towards the public. And so this is the fun part where you get to sort of decide going forward with what we learn, who was being less honest, right? And who was using things to spin in social media or the public for their own benefit. And you got to remember, it's going to run both ways. Defense counsel is always going to say their client's innocent, they didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. So that's always how it's going to go, right? And the prosecution's always going to say they did it. And these are the reasons why we think they did it, right? So it's fun to sort of pull back all of that and try to fit the pieces together of what is and what isn't. That way you can sort of decide for yourself who was being honest and who was stretching the truth. And there are so many cases where we've seen the defense do stretch, right? They stretch so much shit. So much. Miss Helen Jackson stretch so much shit, right? Because they're defense attorneys. They have to, right? And the prosecution sometimes, in rare cases that we've seen, though, they've hidden evidence. If you want to take, for example, Mr. Turtleboy Kearney's attorney, Mr. Bradle, he is already dealing with his license and the bar for hiding information in a case where a guy was in jail for a long time. And so he's dealing with, complaints against his license when he was a prosecutor for doing that. So it can go both ways. It's just interesting to see, Not sure if that still holds water. My wife told me years ago, I'm worth more dead than alive. Never know, You never know. Life insurance is one of those things. It's just interesting, you know what I mean? To sort of figure out who's being deceptive, who's stretching the truth, and where does the truth lie in between. There's three sides, the truth and then the other two sides. So it's interesting to sort of get into where is the part that's the truth, right? That's the part that I always want to be like, okay, this is interesting shit, like this is where we need to now. What happens is I take notes, obviously, and I take notes and I write it down. And then that is something that I go and I look for when more filings come out or more pieces of evidence come out in the trial. And I'm like, okay, I want to see it. I want to see where the insurance policies were, how much were her, how much were his, who took them out, when did they take them out, and all that,
Obligation to correct these things that are out in the narrative.
Again, I think if what they want is justice to be served, they have an obligation to do that. Of course, their real obligation is in the courtroom, and we'll just have to see what happens then.
And the final point, The Google searches regarding how much fentanyl it would take to kill someone.
There are a
Yeah,
number
you're
of
gonna
things
have
you
to
talked about the
figure those
Moscow
out.
Mule, which we believe is not their theory. They've never said it was their theory. And I think the facts that come out in trial will make it very obvious that that isn't even a possibility. But one thing that's been reported on that they have let go, have not corrected, is that Ms. Richins Googled how much fentanyl does it take to kill someone. And that's been in the press, and it's been extrapolated from that she Googled that before Eric Richins' death. And that's just not the case. We've discovered through court records, through exhibits, that she Googled how much fentanyl does it take to kill someone.
He died? Is that what you're going
A
to say?
day or two after she was told he died of fentanyl poisoning, not before, which makes perfect
I knew
sense.
they were going to say that.
She doesn't know how her husband died. She's told, your husband died of fentanyl poisoning, and she's looking, well, what does this mean? How much fentanyl would someone have to take to die of fentanyl poisoning? That's a very, very different narrative than to leave it out there that, oh, the Moscow Mule murderer Googled how much fentanyl does it take to kill someone. No, that's not what happened.
One thing that's also been different in this case for the attorneys is how the prosecution is handling it.
The language that the prosecution uses in its filings, do you feel at any point that they have crossed the line?
Yes, this has been interesting. I have not seen the personal language in filings typically in court that we're seeing here. The prosecution does seem to have a very strong opinion on this case. Not
Well, they
just,
always do, don't they?
here's the evidence.
Their job.
They seem to have a personal opinion, which I think is reflected in their pleadings and has
does
been
sound
reported
familiar.
on, some more than others. The poppycock memo was one that got reported on, which is surprising and unusual to see language like that in legal pleadings. So we've been uncomfortable with that. I see the prosecutor's job, like I said, is to fight for justice.
Uncomfortable, that's
It's not
life.
personal. It's not personal for them, and it shouldn't be personal for us either. We're all there doing our
Personal.
job. We're there to protect our client's rights. We're there to make sure our client gets a fair trial. They're there to serve justice. And what they think is justice and what we think is justice is
Two different
very
things.
often the opposite. But it begins to get personal sometimes, I think, when it's a case that it is high profile. There is a lot to it. They've been working on it a very long time. And, I can see that sometimes you can't help but get personal. Sometimes we can't help but feel personally upset about our clients. It's hard. It's a job, but it's hard. Some prosecutors are better than others at not making it personal. It's just been my observation, and maybe I'll be proven wrong at some point in the future, but this has become quite personal for them.
So why did the defense attorneys come to 2 News Investigates? Why now? Why
a
not
good
just
point.
correct
Why
the
now?
record at trial?
Look, I never thought I would be sitting here.
They didn't do much of this
I
guy.
don't think I should need to talk to the media.
That's for sure.
I really believe that I should be able to get a fair trial. But the way that this case has gone, I don't think we can do that. We have to make sure that when we step in there in February, that we have leveled the playing field. And we can't just hope for that.
Is that why you came to me?
That's exactly why we came here. And really, it's an ethical duty. There's a rules of professional conduct
Hey,
that
Maestro.
says if we think that there are facts out there that have been laid out in such a way that we think goes against our client's best interest, that we have a duty to come out. I think some defense attorneys do hide behind, hey, I'm just not going to speak, no comment. And I think that's fair. I do it a lot. But this is different.
Because we don't get an opportunity to argue the facts until we're in front of a jury. The
Yeah,
judge
I mean, I
decides
get
the
it,
law, a jury
too.
decides the facts. And what's in the narrative right now and in the public media is facts. So
Fact,
we
my
won't
friend.
have that opportunity until we're at trial and the jury is sitting in the box. And like I said, our concern is, can she get a fair trial when all of this is out there before we ever get an opportunity to show our side of the story and to show what we believe really happened in this case.
What do you believe happened in this case?
We believe that she's innocent, and the rest will come out during the trial. Because like I said, it's the people in the box that we need to convince, not the viewers, not anyone else. We just want to make sure that people don't come into that trial believing things that are absolutely false. We don't want to spend the time in the trial convincing people that what
you're
they've
gonna
already
have
heard
to
is
anyway.
wrong. We
You're gonna have to
want
anyway.
to spend our time, presenting our case without having to go back and argue against what's in the media.
Is the prosecution in this case injecting a
screen.
false
That thing's
narrative
huge.
to the media?
I don't know if they're necessarily injecting it, but they're certainly not correcting it. And
They're not going.
I think that's why we're here today, is we honestly feel that we have an ethical duty when we have a client who is facing such serious charges and there is misinformation out there and it is not being corrected.
That's so
It's
weird.
a disservice
that
to
they
justice.
still can't see you.
With
You
that
have
said,
to
then
be
how
shadow
critical
banned.
should the public be with this narrative? Or is the public just taking the prosecution's statements and narratives at face value because it's the prosecution, it's the state of Utah?
Yeah, that's kind of how.
I think
it
that's
goes.
part of it. I think also it's easy because of the headlines to just go along with it. And when somebody who we trust, right, the county attorneys throughout this state, the district attorneys, we trust that they're going to make the right choices when they charge. But also, it doesn't end there. It's also through the prosecution of a case. And with such a high-profile case, I think the public needs to be even more critical. Because if what's going on in this case goes on to a lesser degree in other cases that don't get the exposure, that don't have the appropriate, resources,
Most people don't have those
that's
resources.
when our country starts to become in danger.
Well,
If I
can't
may
we?
ask you this,
We could pretty much argue that already happens, right? People with way more resources and way more money have a different form of justice. I mean, I think we can all argue that at this point, that if you're poor, you get less of a defense and less, you know what I mean? You're not getting the best of the best. The court isn't going to pay for the best experts and the best PI for your, defense attorneys to hire if you don't have the resources to pay for it yourself. And in my opinion, in the United States, we do have a two-tiered justice system, one for the rich and one for the poor. And it's unfortunate. And a lot of people like to put a blindfold on and act like that's not a thing that happens. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Some cases would be very different if it was a different defendant, right? And if they didn't have the resources that they have. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I've watched it happen. And I know some of you have too. In all sorts of cases.
I'm not sure if you will answer, but has the Summit County Attorney's Office vilified your client?
It's not their job to either vilify or create or make them a saint, but it is their job to stick with the facts. And that's something that they have not done in this case, especially with how it's been portrayed in the media. If their goal is justice, they have not lived up to it, at least in this case.
Why reach out to 2 News Investigates?
I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of confidence in you, and we're hoping that you can get the word out, and that it's kind of the one pebble in a pond, right? That once you throw a pebble in, and the waves spread out. And we're hoping that once we correct it in one place that's credible, that's a well-known news source, that maybe the other news sources will also start to question a little more about what they're hearing and what they're covering, just so that the importance is that the facts that are reported accurately. And we really appreciate the opportunity to come forward and correct what we think has gotten out there incorrectly.
When you hear these false narratives and you know who you believe to be the truth,
It's extremely frustrating. I think being a defense attorney, being a judge, a bailiff, it feels routine. You possibly in your job when you're doing things feel routine, but you're doing so much in your job that means something. And it's no different in the courts.
I like that guy.
We walk in, we
don't know
joke
why.
around,
Got
we
some-
know everybody. At the end of the day, though, we're doing something
Like,
very
he
special
loves his
in
job.
there. Every single hearing,
Not everybody loves
and
their job.
especially when we're in trial. And what we're doing is we're upholding the Constitution. And that's a very high bar. And I feel that when I see these narratives come out, it becomes a game. It becomes another line. And we
is.
forget that there's somebody on the
There's
end
humans
of that, and that's
on the other
a
side.
client.
And I kind of point that out, where I think in a lot of cases, people forget there's a human or humans on both ends of criminal cases. The victim's family, the defendant, their family. Like, there are people, humans on the other side of those. And a lot of the time, YouTube creators and independent media, a lot of them just want the salacious shit, right? The clickbait, the stuff that's going to make people come, the crazy faces and acting a fool just to get people to watch what they're doing or saying. And that sensationalism has a cost. We've seen it happen. It has a cost. It has a human cost and a human toll. There are real people behind these cases, real victims' families behind these cases, and they're looking for answers. They want answers. They have a right to those answers. And victims families don't have, we can say they have rights, but they don't really have rights, right? They don't have a ton of rights. And that's a problem, right? They can express they want this, this, or this, but the prosecution has the ultimate say. They can decide, like, yeah, that's great input and all, but we're not doing that. And we don't really care what you want. And more often than not, when you pull back the curtain on a lot of this, a lot of that is happening, where it's like the prosecution will be like, oh, we talked to the families. And then you talk to the families after everything is said and done. And the families are like, yeah, they treated us like shit throughout this entire process. They didn't give a fuck what we thought, what we wanted, what we didn't want. They basically told us to F off. And it's unfortunate because I've talked to many victims' families that have been treated that way. And I think that's a big part of our justice system that we need to try to fix together. Can't do it alone. We need to do it together, because these victims and their families deserve better treatment from our justice system than our justice system to say, okay, cool, we're supposed to take into account what you have to say and hear you, but we don't actually have to do anything. And I'm not suggesting that the prosecution should have to do what the family wants. But they should have more rights than what they have now to know certain things before a news organization tells it to the world, right? That's basic common courtesy. They should also have certain rights when it comes to being separate and away from the nonsense and knowing things that they're left in the dark about almost the whole time. I think they have that basic right and decency that should be given to the victims and their families that we just don't always see. And again, that goes place to place, state to state, county to county, where one county's really good at it and one county's really bad at it. And that's based on your DA, your prosecutor, or your ADA. And that shouldn't happen either. There should be standards that everyone upholds, and there should be victim rights, specific victim rights. And I think that's something that I'm striving towards and that I hope other people are striving towards, because there's a human toll in all of this. Social media can run rampant with anything. If this guy right now said something that people could spin into something bad, the next thing you would see on social media is Corey Richard's attorney says blah, 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 blah. And even if that's not what he said, right now, thousands of people are going to believe that was actually said without actually listening to the interview, right? And that is a big problem with social media and its effect on cases, which is basically anyone on social media with a platform can say something and people will believe it without actually looking into it themselves. And that has become a very large problem. Excuse me. They do it for clicks and views and money and dollar signs, but what's the cost? In my book, the cost is karma, right? That's bad karma you're putting out into the world. And that bad karma is going to come back to you eventually, right? We need to do better as creators to put out correct information and distinguish between what's a fact and what's our opinion, right? That's why I always say, in my opinion, right? In my opinion. when something is my opinion, because you want to differentiate. Yeah, especially high profile cases, because the damage can't be undone, right? If you have someone like the sewer turtle saying something that isn't true, right? Like taillight is found on top of the snow, and then you have hundreds of thousands of people who are then repeating that even after that's corrected, but it's not corrected for a year and a half. Then you still have hundreds of thousands of people saying, well, the taillight was found on top of the snow. No, we have video of them digging it up. So it absolutely was not found on top of the snow. But for almost a year, that's what he told people. The damage that was done could never be undone from that. Never. People are still repeating that without realizing that they're wrong. That's a problem, right? In any case, that's just an example, right? But if you have someone that will say multiple things that are not true, it runs rampant into social media and things that's another problem, which is mainstream media is not covering enough stuff for it to be corrected, right? Mainstream media only wants to cover certain things. They don't want to touch anything else with a 10-foot pole. So that's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And so it's like, where does it end? If the mainstream media is not going to cover certain things and only YouTubers or independent media are going to cover certain things, they're also going to choose what they're going to cover, right? And they're going to try to cover things that mainstream media isn't. But mainstream media, obviously, the most amount of people watch that. So where is the responsibility on mainstream media to make sure that the information is correct? To make sure that they are reporting on things that are important and not just passing them by because they don't think it's good for ratings, right? It's not salacious enough. It's not exciting enough. It's not deceptive enough. You could argue that they have a responsibility as well. All right, hold on. It does. It runs rampant, and to fix it is the biggest problem. You just can't, Yeah, they also will choose not to prosecute a case if they don't think they have enough evidence. They'll say, no, we're not going to prosecute this. That happens all the time in America, all the time in cases you never hear about.
That's a human. That's a mother. And it does.
Mother has nothing to do with anything.
Really frustrate me.
Human has nothing to do with anything.
Narratives, and how does she handle what you claim is misinformation being spread about her?
She is distraught. She is heartbroken. This has been very, very difficult for Ms. Richens. She's been in jail now for over 2 years on these charges and doesn't have an opportunity to really tell her story until we're in trial. So yes, it's been very difficult on her.
I asked Summit County Attorney Margaret Olson and Chief Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth for an on-camera interview for this report. I received the following statement. We are aware of the recent filings submitted by the defense.
Which
we will address all matters related to this case through the legal process rather than in the media. Our formal response will be part of the public record next week. We ask that this comment be included in your report to ensure our position is accurately represented and the reporting remains balanced.
What? I'm sorry, but that's a weird thing for a prosecution to ask. That's weird. I don't know. Oh yeah, they're crazy, girl. They're crazy. Life insurance policies these days, they're nuts. And what you get versus the hoops you have to jump through to even get it to begin with is bonkers. Nonetheless, that was that on the Richens case. For the Walshe case, which it was going to be the main subject of my stream. Hold on. But then I forgot about this interview and I was like, oh, I know the Richens case is something that a lot of people are interested in. And I know it's not going to most likely start till February, but I definitely wanted to cover it. And then, so we have the Walshe case, right? And their next hearing is when Bridgewater will say whether he's competent to stand trial or not. Now, once again, I worked there. I know how this works. His competency hearing is on Friday. So let's see. It says, hold on. trying to skip this thing here. Skip ad. Back this up a teeny bit. And then this is a clip from Boston 10. And then the competency hearing's on for this Friday. So that's a good thing. This is a clip that they have on the article. Oh, crap.
Number of things has to happen first, including the determination if he is mentally competent to stand
Which I
trial.
expect he will be.
NBC 10's Robert Goulston joining us live from Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham, where the trial was originally set to begin this week. Robert?
To begin.
JC, as you said, a lot of things have to happen before the new November 18th scheduled start to this trial. Walsh's attorneys are still going after potential evidence that has been very complicated to get, and also Walsh's mental health has to still be signed off on. Accused killer Brian Walshe was last in court on October 6th. This is the brief exchange he had with the judge after his attorneys requested a mental competency evaluation.
That I can order an exam, and that I did this morning.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Order something?
I can order an examination of you.
Yes.
Walsh's attorneys asked for the examination after they say their client was attacked and stabbed in jail in September.
Oh, an ad. I hate that. Like, nobody wants to see an ad, dude. Okay, it's a news station. No one wants to see your dumb ads. This is why we have premium for YouTube. This is crazy.
This sort of trauma happening after the person's charged,
it's not going to change anything.
Almost inevitably cleared up at some point in the future.
Legal analyst Peter Ellikin explains that competency is usually established in a situation like this, even though it may take time.
If you were attacked and stabbed with a knife, for a lot
of
people,
nothing to do with whether you're competent
could have a dramatic mental health effect.
But that's
at least temporarily.
Right now, Walsh is scheduled to be back in court next week on the 27th for an update on his mental health.
This
then
was
on
a while
October
ago.
30th for an update on the federal grand jury material involving former state trooper Michael
They
Proctor.
moved it. The hearing
final
competency
pretrial
is
conference
Friday.
is set for November 17th, with the jury trial expected to begin.
And that's supposed to be
on
the 17th and 18th is still
Ellikin
set.
says it's important to establish competency before the trial begins.
If they went ahead with the trial where the
could
defendant was
appeal.
not able to assist in the defense, that would be appealed and it would be thrown out, and at some point they'd have to have a redo.
Yeah,
And Walsh's
could be
defense
appealed.
team has indicated to the court that the defendant's mental health and physical health has been declining. We should learn more on Monday at that competency
So that
hearing
was
at
moved.
Norfolk Superior Court.
So they were
We are
talking about
live in Dedham.
this
Robert
was a
Goulston, NBC.
back. And now it's listed for Friday. It was pushed. It was bumped, right? Now, remember, his wife went missing for New Year's Day in 2023. And now they're saying, he wasn't competent or needed this because he was stabbed in jail. Well, I have never seen that stop anyone. And again, I worked at Bridgewater. I know how this works. And I would put money on the fact that he will be found competent to stand trial. Whether he has PTSD or not is kind of irrelevant to whether he'll be found competent to stand trial. PTSD, you might have it, but you could still be competent to stand trial. Being stabbed in jail after you're there doesn't change whether you're competent to stand trial. So I absolutely think that he will be found competent. The previous hearing was already canceled now, and he's been at Bridgewater for evaluation since. The docket also lists 2 upcoming events: a final pretrial hearing on Monday and the start of the jury trial on Tuesday, the 18th. Trial remains scheduled to start next week. So that would be the next case we would be covering in a trial. Walsh's attorneys asked for the 20-day examination last month, citing an attack on their client in jail on September 11th. The examination period was extended weeks later. He's pled not guilty to all the charges. There are too many things going on in this friggin' case. They're still arguing back and forth about stuff in Proctor's phone, whether they can get it, whether they can't. So, I mean, I don't think it'll push the trial off anymore, though. So we'll see what happens Friday. Obviously, we will cover that, right? on Friday, but I would guess that we would still start the trial next week on the 18th. And so we are going to go over this case tomorrow again, because I went over some of the Richmond stuff today, and I was hoping to go into a more depth thing here today with the Walshe stuff. And then a couple other things happened, and things got shooken about a little. But this case is also an interesting one. There's a lot of twists and turns in this one as well. Although, again, my opinion is the guy is guilty. That's my opinion, right? Based on the evidence, the Google searches of hiding bodies and all sorts of craziness they found. They found blood. They found some of Anna's stuff in bins, and he was wearing a GPS monitoring bracelet at the time because he was already dealing with another issue about selling fake art. So there's a lot of shit going on in this case. And so we're going to start from the goddamn beginning, right? No conspiracy. They just want what's in his phone to prove some sort of bias or whatever. I just don't think it's going to work out for the Walshe case in general. They have way too much shit on this guy, in my opinion, right? Way too much shit. Magically malicious or suspicious. I think he's guilty. I think it's very clear that he's guilty, but it's an interesting case to follow to see how the state puts the pieces together and what new stuff do we learn that isn't in the filings, what's not in the filings. Because you have to remember, a lot of stuff gets saved for trial. That's when they give the good stuff. We know about Google searches and whatnot, but there's a lot of crap we don't know about, right? So that's going to be interesting. And if it starts next week, yeah. At least here in Massachusetts, it's what they want to do with all these cases, which sucks because we have the Clancy case, right? The Lindsay Clancy case. That one I don't think is until January or February-ishy of next year. So that's going to be interesting. But still, we got a lot going on with Massachusetts right now. I mean, there always has been. It's just never been front and center. And I think with this case, it's clear to me that the guy, did some effed up stuff. I want to know where they think her remains could be and why they didn't find them. My Pinto and my Santa Maria. Can I have a Nina, a Pinta, and a Santa Maria, please? Yeah, I'll hop right on my Nikes and drive you there, my friend, I so wish I had a car. It's so aggravating being stuck at home sometimes when I want to go out and just do anything. They are beans. They also were a ship way back in the day, But it is what they want to do with a lot of the cases. I don't think they're going to be successful in this case. There's so much shit they already had on this guy outside of anything like that. They just have so much. It's always going to be until every case that he covered is passed. That's the problem, unfortunately. Oh, Wayne's World. My dad loved that movie for whatever reason. All right. So I'm sorry we didn't get to delve into this one today, but I promise you we'll start from the beginning tomorrow because there's a lot of interesting stuff, like where they found some of these Google searches and what they were, like what he Googled. Crazy stuff, dude. Crazy stuff. And since the trial's next week, we gotta get ready for that, right? So I'm gonna go try to eat something before my little comes home from school, and I have to get her off the bus because I am starving. And I'm gonna make sure the cat has new water today. And I can hear her now because I just said the cat. Dora. Where? No, it's not even you guys distracting me. There was a lot of things going on today. And then not a lot of people have seen that interview. So I wanted to sort of go over that a little bit too, because that case is coming in February. And so it's important. No. I think that kind of stuff, especially being in a hospital, should be private information, you know? Nobody does. I mean, this is why I feel like my dad didn't reach out. Like, he didn't want to go be seen at a hospital or have people talking about it. And it's a stigma. There's a real stigma with mental health, you know? There really is. All right. I love your stinking faces. Yes, Dora. She's exploring right now. I can hear her. If you'd like to donate to the channel and you're on my replay crew, we would very much appreciate it. We have a bunch of different ways you can do so. CashApp, PayPal, Revolut. Let's try to be kinder to one another. Let's, try to take that negative energy of some really hateful, angry people and push it away, because I'm finding that more and more people are finding common ground and realizing that they don't need to hate other people, and they don't need to shit on other people, and they don't need to make fun of or try to insult other people based on information that's not even true. And that they're starting to realize that it's having a negative effect on themselves when they do so. So, let's try to be better people today than we were yesterday, my friends. Love your stinking faces. If you'd like to donate, we appreciate it. We have many different ways. We have an Amazon list that you can ask either me or one of the mods for. We had to make it private for bad actors, messing with it. So we had to make it private until Amazon finishes their stupid thing, which takes forever. I just called them yesterday to find out, and they were like, yeah, no, we're still. I'm like, okay, cool. Can you guys wrap it up? And then we have a link in chat in the description of the video and all the other information for donation. And you can use your credit or debit card with that one. And then you can get yourself a membership, or maybe you want to do a super thanks after the video's over, or a super chat when it's going, or a super sticker. Or you want to wait until tomorrow, whatever it may be. I will see you all tomorrow. I love your stinking faces, and I love you. Bye, everybody.